alarms on.
Are you getting a sense of the scope of damage across the state from Ida?
Well, I just got report a little while ago that Arlington, which is a community on the west bank of Plaquemines Parish, has been inundated with 3 to 4 feet of water. Those homes have flooded a few times since Katrina in a couple storms. So that's really tough for those people that just have gotten back after flooding 2 or 3 times from hurricanes to know that that community is also underwater again. Those are the kind of things. We're still rebuilding in Lake Charles from the last storm, and to have another one hit so strong and so widespread is going to take a lot of work to come back.
You, other officials in Louisiana have been warning residents about this storm. There was strong language ahead of it saying that it could make parts of Louisiana uninhabitable. But has there been anything so far about this storm that has surprised you, that maybe you weren't expecting to be so bad?
The high winds, when you see the boats and the vessels like corks bouncing around off of Port Truchon and out of Venice, and the barges floating around the Mississippi River, the amount of wind that has broken those vessels loose and then just tossing them around like small toys. And we haven't seen anything like that since Katrina, and the massive destruction of buildings. Down in Grand Isle, not only the tidal surge, but so many businesses destroyed from the wind as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the wind. Hurricane Ida was extraordinarily slow to weaken. It is slowly creeping north. How much does that add to your concerns about the damage as you're in nightfall now in New Orleans?
It's going to be widespread, and like I said, as it approaches Baton Rouge and all the communities in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, they're going to be experiencing high winds way out of the range that they usually experience for a hurricane. Usually it's a category 1 or less by the time it travels that far north. Though this is a new experience for a lot of these communities, and wondering whether those homes, and especially the mobile trailer parks, can withstand this type of wind.
The reality is you don't know the extent of the damage, and the damage is still happening as we speak because that storm is still packing a strong punch in parts of Louisiana. What is your biggest fear when you wake up in the morning and it's daylight about what you're going to see with the damage?
Is the widespread damage because of the extent of the moving storm with the high winds, the pounding on businesses and homes, the trees, the power lines, the widespread damage, and the time it takes to get people back, get that infrastructure back in place. The longer it takes, the less likely more people will come back. So time is important. We're just going to have to all work together and bring back this community and the coast as quickly as possible. People have been through this many times, and Louisianans help out their neighbors as people come from all over the country to help out. We're surely going to need that after this storm.
There's been a lot of comparisons to Katrina, as you've been discussing, because also today is the 16-year anniversary of Katrina. Fortunately, the levees are holding at last check around New Orleans, which is certainly helping the situation. But what is also different this time around is, of course, the pandemic. The state's medical system was already struggling under the weight of the COVID crisis, with many hospitals at or near capacity. How have things held up?
Well, we've got some real champions in the healthcare industry. Many of them took their mattresses to the hospitals because they knew it was a long haul, and bunkered in the hospitals to take care of those sick people. We're just hoping when the sun comes up in the morning and we start the rescue efforts, we don't have a lot of injured people to add to the already stress of those hospitals. And most people took the warning and left. We always have people that stay behind. Hopefully they realize how serious this storm was, and the majority of the people got out.
All right, Louisiana Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, thank you for joining us and bringing us the latest in your state, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, my friend.
CNN Jason Carroll is in Houma, Louisiana, not far from where the storm made landfall. So what's the situation right now? What kind of damage have you seen there, Jason?
Well, I wanted to give you a first look at some of the damage that we're seeing right now. We're at the Houma generating station. They call it the power station out here. You can see part of the sides of this building have already come off here. Part of the roof has come off as well. The reason why we know that is, Pamela, we spoke to some of the workers who were here during the worst of Ida. They decided it was no longer safe for them to be here, seeing that part of the building, side of the building was coming off. So they made their way to the Civic Center, which is just about
down to Cat 2 now.
Where we were doing live reports before. So they hunkered down there. But then once they got
all the power's out in New Orleans.
There were two buildings there. Part of the roof on both of those buildings started to give way as well. And so that just gives you a sense already as to see some of the damage that we're seeing. Even at this point, we've only been able to do a cursory tour because it's now dark, because of the high winds that we're still experiencing here, and because the streets are blocked. So we were only able to do a cursory tour, but we saw several buildings that were damaged already from Hurricane Ida. When you think of Houma, think about this. For several hours while we were out here, we experienced sustained winds topping 100 miles per hour. Hurricane Ida just sat on top of this area and just did as much damage as she could before she moved on. And so what's next?
She moved on as a hurricane female.
The sheriff says he's received a lot of calls from folks who say, hey, I've
Let's
lost my
got a female name this time.
I'm seeing this type of damage or that type of damage. The sheriff says, look, we told people to evacuate, as you know, Pamela. You heard the warnings. And now it's just they have to wait until morning until they can make sure that the roads are safe enough to get out there to assess the damage. But we're already seeing the damage here, again, here at the power station.
Power outages from Ida could last weeks.
Without power.
And not everyone had the ability to evacuate, and there was only a certain number of shelters open.
Has left behind.
And now utility companies are warning that power outages from Ida could last for weeks. You have that on top of all of this damage, and you're giving us a little window into what is likely
wow, you want to see that?
Across many parts of the state. Jason Carroll, thank you very much.
Let's see if we can see this before he... Oh, well, he's gone.
What's the situation there, Ed?
Hi, Pamela. Well, here in Baton Rouge, we are finally starting to see the strongest rain bands from Hurricane Ida. It has taken hours for the storm to make its way this far north since it made landfall earlier today. And this storm, and the brunt of it, is really passing and threading the needle between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. We spent much of the day today driving in through many of those low-lying communities to see how they're preparing for this moment. And it really kind of matched what the Lieutenant Governor was telling you a short while ago, and how people there are really nervous about the wind speeds, because hurricanes usually don't stay at such a strong level this far north, this far away from the coastline. So many people we spoke with say that was one of the things they were most concerned about. They'd never been through a storm with winds as high as it was probably going to be here. And the worst of this now is that the brunt of this storm is going to be striking many of these communities in the evening hours. So here between now and 2 o'clock in the morning is really where a lot of these communities are going to be taking the brunt of this storm, and that always adds another layer of another terrifying layer to having to deal with storms.
It's 30 miles west-northwest of New Orleans.
And the power outages are starting to
New
pile
Orleans
up
has
through
no
the
power.
region. Here in the Baton Rouge area, 100,000 people already without power. Those numbers will continue to grow in the hours ahead.
It's down to a Cat 2.
Pamela, it's really important to point out that this isn't just these communities trying to get through the brunt of this storm. It's the rainfall as the storm continues to push north and the rainfall continues to fall. It's going to be flooding in the next day or two that is going to cause perhaps the most damage. And in several communities that we were in today, many people have said they were planning on riding out the initial impact of the storm in their homes, but they were also packing up their belongings. So as soon as the storm passed, they were going to be ready to escape from the area because they're anticipating those floodwaters coming back and draining out toward the Gulf of Mexico. So this isn't just an event that is going to be over here in the next couple of hours. They're going to be dealing with it for several more days.
That is such an important point, Ed. We still don't know what the ripple effect will be from
Gas prices
Hurricane Ida.
are probably going to shoot
There is still so
up.
much unknown right now, including the extent of the damage there. A lot of people we've spoken with tonight are nervous about waking up in the morning, what they're going to see, and then what lies ahead in the days ahead, as you just pointed out there. Ed Lavandera, thank you. And we do want to update our viewers. We just learned that Ida is now a Category 2 storm with sustained winds, currently 110 miles per hour. But just to put this in perspective, Ida made landfall around 10 this morning,
with 150
and it's
mile
highly
an hour
unusual
winds.
for it to move so slowly, to be downgraded so slowly. It has been packing a powerful punch ever since it hit landfall there in Louisiana, and is that just probably the latest there?
Let's show you.
Folks in Louisiana are not out of the woods yet, depending on where they are, and it will need a lot of help recovering from this storm. And the Red Cross is standing by to lend a hand. We're going to have an update on how they're getting ready up next.
There's the roof that blew off that clinic.
It's easy to tour homes with the Redfin app. Take a 3D walkthrough to explore every corner. You can also tour homes in person fast. Just tap and a Redfin agent can meet you there or show you through video chat. Only on the Redfin app. Download it today.
Oh no, I thought I just ordered tacos.
Nope. Ramen,
Burgers,
milk from the store, and
cookies.
Wow, me hungry.
Here, I'll call some friends to help us eat. Get more from your neighborhood. Hey, yo, Grover. DoorDash.
At Fingerhut, we don't define you by your credit score, so we offer low monthly payments on things you need and brands you trust as you build your credit history with a Fingerhut credit account. You do you at Fingerhut.com.
Home Advisor and Angie's List are now Angie, and it's easier than ever to get your projects done right. Connect with top pros and see ratings and reviews. And when you book and pay through Angie, you're covered by our happiness guarantee. Check out Angie.com today. Angie, and done.
If I could be you, you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
First death from Hurricane Ida reported in Louisiana. TV's apparently behind the computer.
Breaking news just into CNN. We're learning of the first death reported from this storm in Louisiana. The Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office says a fallen tree is to blame for this. Hurricane Ida, as we just reported, is now a Category 2 storm. But don't let that number fool you. It is still slamming Louisiana right now. There's still a lot more to learn about how it's impacting the people there, the damage it's caused, and now we're learning that there is at least 1 death caused by a downed tree. And its slow movement is increasing the risk of major flooding. New Orleans is under a flash flood emergency and completely out of power. Jefferson Parish's president told me this evening that they're getting calls from people trapped in their homes with water up to their chests. Every road in LaFouche Parish is now impassable, and the sheriff says
Category 2 now, 30 miles west
have been damaged.
northwest
I want to bring
of
in
New Orleans,
Jason
which
Keeling. He is
has
the
no
spokesman
power.
for the American Red Cross. Thanks for joining us, looking at the power and just the ferociousness of Ida. What do you see as the biggest need right now?
Well, so good morning or good evening, Pam. At this point, we don't know the full extent of the damage potentially until tomorrow morning. But what we do know is that the American Red Cross is ready to provide those immediate needs to the public who have been affected by this. And so we have pre-positioned roughly 400 to 600 volunteer workforce. We've opened dozens of shelters, particularly in Louisiana and Mississippi, and we want the public to know that these shelters are there for them should they need to evacuate.
And the power company in Louisiana says the power could be out in some areas for weeks. And you have Louisiana's governor warning that it may also be weeks away. How does the Red Cross step in and help in a situation like this?
Yeah, and what if you have medical equipment that needs power like I have?
When our mission is fulfilled, we have been preparing for this for some time, and we have trained disaster workers who are going to be there to provide that emotional support for individuals, to provide, the shelter, the clothing, the food as needed, and help to be the best part of what's a very difficult time.
And when can the Red Cross give aid to those who need it?
Well, again, we have various shelters that are already open, and what I would like to emphasize is for those who may need shelter, to call 211 or 1-800-RED-CROSS, or lastly, download the free Red Cross emergency app.
That is very important for folks who might need help. What do you do, though, in a situation like this where so many people are most likely going to be in need of aid? How do you decide who to give aid to first, where to go, how to dish it out?
Well, the aid is distributed simply based on need. There's no other factor except for that. So anyone who is in need will be helped by our organization.
And what do you see as the biggest obstacles to getting aid to those most in need?
Well, of course, at this point, just the storm itself. And so our teams are waiting for the storm to go through. Many of them are hunkered down, if you will, until it goes through, and then we'll be in a position to, we will be ready for those that need that aid.
All right, Jason Keeling with the American Red Cross, thank you.
John the Baptist
and
Parish.
Earlier tonight I spoke with Cynthia Lee Shang. She's the Jefferson Parish president just south of New Orleans, and she gave us a really disturbing update about the rising water there. I want you to hear how she describes it.
Right now my concern is we've lost contact with Grand Isle, so that is the island right on the Gulf of Mexico that I've been very, very concerned about. We lost contact with them. We've not been able to reach them, so I don't know what they're going through. And then closer up here, still outside the hurricane protection system, an area called Lafitte and Lower Lafitte, Barataria, Crown Point, the water is rising. People are in their homes, and we're getting reports of people with water up to their chest. They're asking to be rescued. So very, very dark situation, and we just can't get out yet.
That is dire. What else are you hearing from people calling in? I mean, that is horrific.
It is horrific. We're almost, the electrical grid is just almost out. We're probably at 95% out of electricity. A very large transmission tower came down. That fed a lot of our community. So we're getting reports of roof damage, trees down, tree roots pulling up and damaging water mains. So now our water pressure is going down. So, we are also responding to an assisted, actually a condominium where there's some elderly people who are living there, and their roof partially collapsed. So we're trying to get them out to a church across the street. So it is very, very busy here, and we just can't respond yet.
Right. I mean, so what are you doing in these cases when you get a call like that with these senior citizens or the person who has, water up to their chest? What can you do?
Well, people just, I got a text from a friend of mine, and she said a tree fell on her neighbor's house. She wants the neighbors to come to her house, but she said she can't walk outside right now. So it's just the winds are so heavy, so high right now, we just can't get out. We were able to get one of the fire chiefs over to the assisted living center to see what it's like. It's not a dire situation, but they do have water in the building that's on the first floor. There is some type of collapse that's having water intrusion. So the real situation I think is very dire is the water that is rising in the areas of lower Lafitte.
And many Louisiana residents got out of Ida's way. They left their homes, but one who's riding out the storm joins us next.
Yeah, on a boat, like a small boat. Like
save $10 on Tax Shaver. For a close shave, you need to get a razor and lather up. For a quick shave on the go, you need to settle for an electric. But what if you really want both? Nick Bolton here with the newest addition to our tactical line, the Bell & Howell Tax Shaver. Designed with the needs of our military in mind, Tax Shaver gives you a quick, razor-smooth shave whether you're at home or on the go. It even has a built-in trimmer for sideburns and ears. And it works wet or dry for a great shave, even the harshest conditions. That's right, the Tax Shaver is completely waterproof.
Alright, let me look at my notifications. Is my camera off? Yes, it is. Hello to the 17 of you.
Tax Shaver gives you a quick, razor-smooth shave. Features a built-in trimmer, works wet or dry, even underwater, and has 3 powerful shaving heads. I mean, there's just nothing like it on the market today. Tax Shaver is $29.99, but act now and you'll take $10 off, so you can get it for just $19.99, and shipping is free. But wait, call or click today and you can get a second Tax Shaver. Just pay a separate fee. Tax Shaver is the only shaver that features genuine Bell & Howell precision and quality, and is backed by our 10-year warranty. You can get 2 Bell & Howell Tax Shavers with this special TV offer. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-483-6804 or go to TaxShaver.com. Again, that's 1-800-483-6804 or order online at TaxShaver.com.
Classroom of second graders. I was definitely excited. A president that forever unites them. 2 airplanes crashed into World Trade Center. Now, 20 years later.
There's only 16 of us with him. We get to be the people that tell the story.
Do you think that day affected our today? CNN special report shows history of the 9/11 classroom. CNN 10.
Look, cleaning the outside of your windows is a real chore. Not anymore. This is Full Crystal from the Bullet Brush Company. The fastest, easiest way to clean all of your windows in minutes, not days.
Did it not let you hear when I went and looked at the notifications? Because it changed from 23 minutes to 0.
This screen may look clean, but look how Full Crystal blasts away the dust, pollen, dirt, and grime while it cleans your window at the same time. It's completely safe for all of your plants, lawns, shrubs, and flowers. Plus, with the Full Crystal Power Sprayer, you can clean windows up to 27 feet high. Call or go online now to order the complete Full Crystal system for just $19.99. But order right now and we'll double the cleaning crystals. Enough for up to 40 windows, just pay a separate fee. Call
All right. Yeah, you do that, Jennifer Lopez.
Our breaking news is now Hurricane Ida is a deadly Category 2 storm, and we're learning of the first death reported in Louisiana caused by a fallen tree at home, according to the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office. And nearly 1 million are without power in Louisiana and Mississippi. Meantime, New Orleans in the dark tonight. This is normally a city that's full of life. Not tonight. Catastrophic transmission damage is blamed for the power failure as Ida makes its closest pass to Sydney. Strong winds, heavy rains expected to continue for hours. And in Grand Isle on the Louisiana coast, a dire report that the water is rising.
Hello.
Battered for hours by strong winds. One official now says they're getting calls from people with water up to their chests inside their homes.
That's not good.
Let's bring in CNN meteorologist Pedram Dabahari. What's the latest, Pedram?
What a remarkable day. A along the northern Gulf Coast. Certainly one that's going to reshape the landscape across this region of southern Louisiana. And a storm system that
It's a Cat 2 hurricane now. Hi, Sue. It was 4. It hit with 150 mile an hour winds.
Over 9 hours now from the official landfall, still
around 10 a.m. when I was getting a COVID test outside my apartment, a rapid test that was negative. And they also did a PCR test, but I won't have the results for 2 or 3 days. Close contact, fully vaccinated, has COVID.
As it traverses over land, of course, the bayou, the waterways, the land across this region conducive to.
It's too, but people have water up to their chests in their homes. Someone died when a tree fell on their house. It's still 110 mile an hour wind, with gusts up to 160. It took a while to calm down, like to go down from 4 to 3 to 2. New Orleans is out of power. 153 miles an hour in Port Fourchon, Louisiana. It was only like 7 miles away from Cat 5 when it.
In New Orleans, we've had the second wettest year on record prior to Ida making landfall this morning. Over 60 inches has already fallen in the first.
I didn't sleep last night.
Or so of the year here, so it really speaks to how wet it's been. And of course, once the system passes through, this will put.
How are you?
The wettest all time, with all that moisture already.
Severe damage to well-built homes.
But also significant damage. And when you're speaking of winds of this magnitude at landfall, the National Hurricane Center often says this area will be uninhabitable for a period of weeks to months. So we know that that damage in place, that certainly has already taken place along that southern coast of Louisiana. And you take a look at the multiplier effect. People often think
I hope he's okay.
Category increase from say a 1 to a 2 is a linear increase. You're only seeing a 1 category increase, but the damage impacts are actually logarithmic. So you're about a 10x increase there in the damage impacts, and you bring the winds up to 150 miles per hour, as Ida had.
256 times the damage.
6 times more damage than a Category 1 at landfall. So again, speaks to the historic nature of the storm system, not only the intensity of the landfall. In New Orleans, of course, in Louisiana, I should say, has now had back-to-back years with 150 mile per hour landfalls. Laura did so back in 2020. And now
you want to see the picture of the map?
Back-to-back hurricane seasons with 150 mile per hour storms making landfall in that state. So certainly, hearts and prayers go out to our friends here across the state, and you'll notice widespread coverage. Areas indicated in red here with flood warnings that are in place. Whether it's in New Orleans itself, points just to the west, and points just to the south, even into Houma at this hour, seeing flood warnings, which means flooding is imminent or occurring. With the amount of rain that has come down on top of what has been the wettest year on record around this region, among the wettest years on record, this is going to be a major story for the overnight hours with the amount of water that's going to be running across this region and flash floods that are taking place. Family?
All right, Pedram Jabahari, I should say, thank you so much for bringing us the latest there on Hurricane Ida. And for residents who didn't evacuate, Louisiana's governor says it could be, quote, days, perhaps even weeks before help arrives.
My earlier
My next
broadcast
guest, Thomas Bourne,
is up to over 3,000
did
views.
evacuate his home in Houma, near where the eye of Ida passed by. He is about 90 minutes away, staying with family right now, and he joins me on the line.
Did you get a concussion?
So, Thomas,
how did you
tell
fall
me what
backwards?
you're feeling right now. Looking at all the damage in Houma, you must be pretty relieved you
Did you go to
evacuated.
the ER?
Hi, Pamela. Yeah, pretty nervous right now. Looking back on news channels and everything like that, see what's going on. Kind of nervous to get back, but ready to get back. I know we got some damage. Most houses in our neighborhood have their ceilings collapsed, roofs are leaking, so it's going to be interesting when we get back.
Do you know anything about how your home
You want to
fared
meet
in
Sweet Potato? You lost your balance? You didn't go to the ER? You want to meet Sweet Potato?
People that could go in and check. But I know they had a tornado go through our neighborhood, so we're kind of uneasy about that.
Do you know any neighbors that decided to stay behind and weather the storm?
I do. I had one that lives next to me that works
Here's
at a
Sweet
hospital.
Potato.
He was mandated to stay.
An angel bear that used to live with Rosie.
Well, that's nice. So,
she died.
Some people, though, in Louisiana decided not to evacuate. You did.
Some of them didn't have anywhere to go.
Well, I was wanting to ride out, but my wife had other plans, and she wanted me to go with them and the kids to get out of there. So,
and there were only limited shelters open.
Well,
like there were some shelters, but
how bad it's been.
I am, but I'm the type of person who likes to be there to try to fix things as they happen.
Here's Woof Woof.
It's driving me nuts that I can't do that, but it is what it is.
Here's
so from
Bear.
what you can tell, how did this storm compare to others you've experienced?
This is the worst. I mean, I was in Baton Rouge growing up when Andrew came through, and I've seen Gabor, been there for Katrina and Rita and all of them. This one's going to be right up there at the top.
What is your family feeling like right now? Are you guys worried about what you're going to see come daylight? What the report is going to be about your home and the damage in your community?
Very nervous. Very nervous.
Yeah, Ed Asner died.
So not sure what to do. I'm putting myself expecting the worst. That way, if it's not too bad, I got some positiveness in there.
Well, listen, it's a good thing you listen to your wife. Wives always know best.
That's
so
right.
I'm glad that you are safe, that your family is safe, and thank you for sharing your story with us, Thomas.
Thank you for having me.
The bear lived with the friend who died?
Well, our storm coverage continues next. More on the rescuers standing by.
Or you lived with the friend who died?
What the leader of the Cajun Navy says he's most worried about right now.
The bear did. Okay. Wind speed 110 miles an hour.
It just gives you such a boost of confidence.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the
The
inside.
bear did, yeah.
That you're looking better.
Makes me feel so
My
much
niece
more confident
decided.
than I've ever felt
I asked
in my
people
life.
what they thought the bear's name should be, but my niece picked Sweet Potato, and at the end of the day, that's the name I chose.
Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why.
You want me to say hello too? Hello. Oh yes, I have on my BC British Columbia Young Fisherman's Network hat. I'm cold. My temperature right now is only 97.6. I didn't sleep last night. And a lot of time my temperature's low late at night, but why is it that low right now? Maybe because I didn't sleep. You just named yours?
I had the timer on, and we were screaming 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone. My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. These lines bother me. They really do. And
it's always, mine's usually 97.7,
it feels good.
but
it feels great. Looks
not till later in the day. Yours is always 97.6, but I feel
fine lines and wrinkles. So it targets
I feel
all those
cold, but I
problem
should
areas.
turn
So
down
this
my
would be a
AC,
daily
but I
thing,
don't
or
have the
it
energy
absolutely
to go
could be a daily
over
thing. But
there
the way
and
you want to do it is you want
turn
to
it
have a
down
cool, dry
or
face.
turn it up.
Use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger. This is it.
At our
I have this.
95-cent price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm.
I keep turning the camera off because I don't want the battery to run down like it did earlier, but I have this. It's a Mylar blanket from acupuncture that holds in the heat like a space blanket. That's what the noise is. Yeah, there's a firehouse that was filling up with water today. And someone in Portland ran over someone in a parking lot. I didn't read the details of that.
CNN Twins presents 9/11. Next Sunday at 8 on CNN.
There was a nurse practitioner and an EMT that came to my apartment and gave me the rapid test, and my brain is not working. The other COVID test, so that I didn't have to go to an urgent care and risk getting exposed again. When you feel feverish, you still have a normal temp? Well, that's why I checked my temperature because I felt so cold and it was 97.6.
This isn't just a discount plan. This is real dental insurance that can help pay for over 350 covered procedures, like cleanings, fillings, crowns, even dentures.
I wonder if hypothyroid or if it's just like
you can see any dentist you like.
menopause.
Call now or go online for your free information kit from Physicians Mutual.
I always feel cold and shaky when I don't sleep. We don't have that. Well, I just found out about it yesterday. 3.5 hours on the phone on hold, plus I got hung up on it after an hour and 40 minutes to get the appointment. My insurance will pay for it.
You are looking at security camera footage captured in Louisiana's St. Bernard Parish. Hurricane Ida's powerful.
Oh, wow. You want to see this? Look at this water.
Right now. The storm remains a powerful Category 2 hurricane. Don't let that number fool you. It is still packing a powerful punch.
110 miles an hour, 160 gusts.
Strong winds and heavy rain are hitting the city as the storm pushes inland. And the city is under a flash flood emergency and completely out of power. Nearly 1 million customers are in the dark right now in Louisiana and Mississippi. A lot of people going through a tough time. Millions decided to ride out this storm, and an army of private citizens called the Cajun Navy is
they didn't
ready
even
to
tell
spring
people
into
to
action
evacuate from New
anyone
Orleans. They
needing
said
a
they didn't have
rescue.
time.
Just moments ago, I spoke with Todd Terrell. He is the president of the United Cajun
And they didn't want people getting stuck on the road.
What he said is making him nervous about Hurricane Ida right now.
Well, the main thing that's making me nervous right now, even more so, is that it's continued to keep its strength once it got into land. I don't think that anybody knew that this thing was going to stay as strong of a category as it is right now. And it just is relentless. This has not given up. It is not giving up. We are really catching the devil over here. And it seems like it's going to be like this way all the way through the night.
Your mission is to try to help people, but you have a powerful storm that is moving slowly over Louisiana, and it's nightfall there. So what are you able to actually do right now?
Good night. Thanks for stopping in.
Well, you know, we have guys coming in from all over the country, and right now we're trying to cut our way
Glad you're okay.
And go a little bit south. There's a lot of people trapped down there. The problem is there's a lot of power lines across the road and stuff. We have airboats going in. One of the main needs we have right now is high-octane fuel for these airboats. These airboats take 90-plus octane fuel, so we're having trouble finding that right now. But it's a dire strait. There's people in their homes with kids, handicapped, elderly, with no roofs on their house, and the weather's still plummeting pretty good. So we're going to do the best we can into the night to try to get into some homes.
SCV?
And if you would, just paint a fuller picture of what you're hearing.
What's
you
SCV?
Just sort of described it there. You said people are trapped in their homes. Can you just bring us into the situation a little bit more?
A lot of people weren't expecting this. You know, a lot of people, the roofs blew off of the house, and they have kids and stuff, and we can't get to them. The water's high on the road or the power lines are down. So for the
all
first time in my
Orleans
life,
Parish is out of
pretty
power,
much
out of no power.
Old school is grab a mattress and get in the bathtub or get in the center of your house. And there's been hundreds of people that we've had to tell that to today. We just can't get to them.
How does that make you feel?
Well, you know, 16 years ago today was Katrina, and a lot of us, we suffered a lot of losses personally with that. So it's kind of like deja vu, you know, here again. And we were talking earlier to General Russell Honore, and him and I worked together during Katrina 16 years ago. It's just surreal. You know, we're looking around and we're seeing total destruction, and we really haven't been able to see it yet because it's dark. But we know that when we wake up in the morning, it's going to be level to where we're at.
Yeah, do you even go to sleep tonight? How do you think Ida compares to Katrina? You mentioned that today is the 16-year anniversary.
Every road in LaForce Parish is impassable.
This storm is going to have more widespread damage than Katrina. We're yet to see exactly what's going on in New Orleans. We're hearing a lot of reports around the Laplace area, Metairie, and a little south, where there's a lot of flooding. Unfortunately, it's nighttime, and you know, we can't assess that damage right now yet. I think it's going to be as bad or worse on a bigger scale. You know, this is devastating, and the calls that we got today, they were desperate. It's going to be a long time for Louisiana to recover from this.
What is your biggest concern right now, Todd? Is it the rain? Is it the winds? Is it the combo? What is it that's really striking the fear for you right now?
The fear for us is well, you know, we've been preparing for this for like 2 years with COVID. Right now, some of the people that we're picking up, in fact, I'm in a hotel right now where there's no power, and it is just, the rain is coming down. For some of the people that were brought in, you know, there's no COVID protocol right now. We try to do the best we can with masks and temperature checks, but right now, my biggest fear is, you know, we have people that we're bringing into an environment that you know, we could have some problems later on. Unfortunately, you know, you got to consider saving the life first, you know, so right now, it's just we worried. It's just a big worry, everything. We got COVID. We got the storm devastating people, and there's nowhere for people to go.
There's nowhere for people to go. You've got the hospitals overcrowded with COVID patients. They can't evacuate the patients. You said you've been preparing for this. How has your organization prepared for the devastation that this storm is likely to bring to your state and the Gulf Coast? As you pointed out, Todd, we still don't know the scope of the damage, and this storm is still very powerful.
I'm in Denham Springs, Louisiana right now because this is our home base is Baton Rouge. And right now, we're getting plummeted. I don't think we're going to get as much of the storm as we could have over here. But I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be as bad or worse than Katrina on a widespread scale. Going back to your COVID thing with the hospitals being closed, full and stuff, people are wet. They've been wet all day, and when you get wet, you get sick. You get the sniffles and stuff. So we're seeing people right now that they're picking up and they're sniffling, and we're not sure if it's because they're wet or they got COVID. So the big concern right now is which is secondary, is COVID on us. But right now, we just have nowhere to bring these people. We were prepared because we have supplies. We have tons of food, snacks, water, Gatorade that we store in warehouses that are ready to go. But at this stage right now, we were not prepared for this type of destruction. And even on our scale of having supplies, I'm worried.
And you have all these people calling in needing help, but you can't help them right now, which is frankly too dangerous. Todd Terrell, thank you very much. Thank you for all that you and your organization that you're doing to help in this very powerful storm.
It's a mess, but thank y'all.
And this will be a very long night for so many people who are facing this storm. But this is how we got here. A rapidly intensifying storm that hasn't let off the gas since it made landfall.
We have breaking news on Hurricane Ida. This extremely dangerous storm just made landfall only moments ago as a Category 4 storm with 150 mile an hour winds.
That was from 10 a.m.
My weather vane registered 168 miles an hour wind, and then it broke.
It almost feels like someone with giant hands has taken the wind and the water from behind me and is pushing it towards the city of New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
This is the time to stay inside. Do not venture out.
There's flying debris all over the place. You'll see my eyes dart back and forth because I've got to constantly watch out for me and my team.
You can see these bands of wind and rain that have steadily been coming through here. That makes it very difficult at this point to stand up. Just let these visuals play out.
Are they going off the air?
Only because of this concrete wall to my left.
You've got to be prepared to stay for the first 72 hours on your own. Nobody should be expecting that tonight a first responder is going to be able to answer a call for help.
We're praying for the best and planning prepared for the worst. As soon as the storm passes, we're going to put the country's full might behind the rescue and recovery.
And people impacted by the storm will need help to recover. So for more information about how you can help, just go to cnn.com/impact. A heartbreaking moment we watched today as all 13 fallen U.S. service members came home. They were killed this past week in a suicide bombing at the Kabul airport. President Biden stood by to watch the dignified transfer, his first as commander-in-chief. And he also met with family members of those troops. CNN Jeremy Diamond reports on the mood inside the White House. Jeremy?
All right, I'm going to go. Bye, everyone.
Well, Ben,